Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan. I'm here with Mike,
Hello.
and
Sorry.
that's all right.
It's been cold for a little bit here.
We do still have a podcast. We do still have a show, and we apologize for a little bit of an absence. Things kind of get crazy at the end of summer, and it just happens. I know Mike is bought a house and has been doing a lot of work on said house. And it's really shaping up to be something special, for sure. But it takes a lot of time and effort.
I appreciate saying that it looks like something special someday.
I believe in it. I
Yeah.
believe in your home. And really, it's the family that makes the home. So I'm sure, like, you and your wife will definitely be able to make that a very pleasurable abode.
That's very pleasurable. Every room. We gotta cut that. That's my wife will be upset about any sort of
I'll remember.
untoward joke. No, it's been rewarding but an exhausting time period.
For sure.
Morgan came and helped me clean out the old place a little bit this week, and just like it was one of those things like, do we have time to cast? And I was like, I just flat out do not for 2 straight weeks.
Yeah, it's rough. But we're back, and obviously we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I mean, this episode is probably going to be mainly focused on sort of the news that's happening within the Magic the Gathering community. We had some big shifts in organized play on a many different levels, so we definitely want to talk about that. Kind of look forward to this weekend. We have an MCQ, so we're going to talk a little Modern at the end of the show. We're not really going to cover any tournaments, mainly because most of the big tournaments have been Modern, or Standard, I guess, or Limited. And Standard's about to rotate. Modern is going to be changing in a big way, and we never talk about Limited. So
all the big Modern tournaments were won by or had multiple top eights by Hogak, which is now banned of the format. That's it. We caught you up.
We did it. You're welcome.
Vegas was cool and had, I think, more people playing Commander than played in one of the GPs. But hey,
whatever. So before we jump into it, I definitely wanted to give a quick shout out to our Patreon. So thank you so much to all of our patrons, especially in our absence, for continuing to be a big part of this show and a reason why we can do this every time that we put out a show. We really appreciate you. If you are interested in joining our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/atyourendstep. All right,
just blow the dust off of it.
Yeah. Just to get out your Swiffer and
I bought one of those. I felt very old.
Yeah,
I was like, I gotta buy this Swiffer. It's good on my new vinyl floors.
Oh, welcome to the club. All right. So the biggest thing that we kind of need to talk about is organized play and the future of it. Wizards of the Coast actually released a very detailed article that kind of goes over what's going to be changing inside of organized play, which I think everyone in general has been pretty positive about this announcement, just as like a general feeling. There's a lot of people that were kind of hopeless and feeling really lost in regards to organized play, and you saw that response from a lot of different like pros around the circuit. And I definitely kind of feel the same way. I'm not invested at a high level like they are, but it really did feel like Wizards of the Coast was kind of just dropping the ball on organized play and not really making it a huge focus. GPs, we just talked about made a bit of a slight, but about a Commander side event having more attendance.
Oh, it wasn't a slight. It was good for Commander players. So
That's
not.
I think like with this announcement, you definitely see that sort of positive change and people feeling pretty good about the future of organized play. So in our show notes, I kind of put exactly the sort of highlights from the article itself. And I figured we could just quickly read through those and then jump into the meat of the article. So the first highlight is the Magic Pro League, or the MPL, will have a clear path with addition of a new Rivals League. Tabletop Magic gets a all new regionalized championship structure, the Players Tour, with more than $2.5 million in prizes. MTG Arena will be anchored by spectacular Mythic Invitationals, with 3 per season, each offering a $750,000 prize pool. The Magic World Championship remains the pinnacle of Magic and competitive play, and will feature the season's most accomplished MTG arena and tabletop players vying for the game's top honor, and a $1 million prize pool. Both Tabletop Players Tours and MTG Mythic Invitationals offer twice as many qualification slots as to players around the world, vastly increasing the play opportunities no matter which platform you prefer. In addition to Grand Prix, premier series events like the Star City Games Tour by Star City Games and the new LATAM Magic series by Bazaar de Bagda will have qualification pass to the Players Tour, and we look forward to integrating more local tournament series from around the world. And then Magic will remain a category leader, offering more than $10 million in prize and player support for the 2020-2021 season across the combined Magic Arena and Tabletop prize pools and MPL Rivals League support. So that's sort of the high level, breakdown of this article. And obviously there's sort of a lot of questions, like the MPL and the Rivals League, so that they're kind of creating this new development league. So this is pretty common in something like baseball, right? Like, kind of, sort of.
Yeah,
because you have like the minor leagues and then the majors, right?
Yeah, I think it's more like just based on size, like more like practice squad in the NFL. Like, I don't know, you're there, maybe you get pulled in, or D-League basketball. I don't know.
I mean, the most direct correlation.
That sounds awful because like these players who are in the Rivals League are really not a full step below. Like,
no,
who's in
like, it's literally part of the Rivals League consists of the bottom 4 MPL players because they're shrinking the MPL.
Welcome to the D-League, man.
They're shrinking the MPL. It's only going to be
24, right?
Yeah. 24 players, I believe, in the MPL.
Yeah.
And then
46 in the Rivals. Is that right? That number sound right?
Yeah, it's 40 something for sure.
Sorry, I was looking in there. 12, 12, 24, 36, 42, 46. Yeah, I did it.
46.
Math is cool.
So, obviously, the Rivals League will compile a bunch of different kinds of players. So we have the top 12 Mythic Point earners, 6 discretionary invite slots, top 12 player point earners, bottom 12 from the MPL Gauntlet, and the bottom 4 of the current MPL. So the real kind of sports, comparison that you can make is actually soccer. Specifically European soccer. Yeah, I understand. But they actually have a sort of a relegation basically that happens every year, where the top of the B League and the bottom of the A League fight against each other, and whoever it basically is. It's not all the bottom or whatever. It's basically how this is set up in the Gauntlet, where a certain amount of people will rise and a certain amount of people will fall.
Yeah,
within that.
It's kind of like that Matt Damon movie Elysium, where some people live on the
the giant pristine Earth ring.
Exactly, and every now and then you fight to get onto the Elysium.
Correct.
I've only seen the trailer of that movie, so I'm assuming Matt Damon wins.
I don't
know what winning looks like in there, but
I don't.
You know that Matt Damon's supposed to be in the upper level because he's got that smile.
That's true. He's got like weird robot appendages. Not appendages, but like assistant suit. Did you remember that?
Again, I've only seen the trailer. But when you say weird robot appendages, don't think arms.
It's definitely like an exosuit. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay, so they're like insect people.
We should watch that trailer again.
Or maybe just the movie. Blomkamp deserves our money.
It's just a trailer.
Yeah.
So we did mention the MPL Gauntlet. Basically, it's the top 16 players in the MPL automatically return for the MPL for the next season, so they're safe from relegation. The bottom 4 players in the MPL will automatically be relegated to the Rivals League, no matter what. The top 2 ranked players from the Rivals League in both MTG Arena and Tabletop play will automatically be offered MPL contracts. And the MPL Gauntlet tournament will therefore comprise of 16 competitors as follows. The MPL players ranked 17th through 20th. Rivals players ranked 3rd through 8th on Arena play, and then Rivals players ranked 3rd through 8th on Tabletop play. And then the top 4 of the MPL Gauntlet tournament make it to the MPL. Now, the MPL is actually changing in the contracts that they offer because they aren't... they're appearance fee based, right? Yeah. I know that definitely the Rivals League will have an opportunity for the people in the Rivals League to earn money by appearing in paper tournaments, and I believe the MPL functions in the same way now.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there about that, and I don't know. I guess unless I was in it, I'm less interested in what that
right.
is. I do think it's interesting. One, this looks a lot like something that Billy Idol was suggesting a while ago on Twitter, and I don't know if it was his idea or not, if he was touting someone else's idea. But the idea of having a a D League in a way to get back into it, it is nice that this gives a very clear delineation of like what it takes to be in the MPL. There are discretionary invites, but they're sitting in the Rivals League, which is nice. So like they can still give those discretionary invites that maybe frustrated some people, but they're not automatically gifted to the MPL. And
Correct.
if they make it to the MPL, they've gone through that gauntlet, then you have to like shut up about it. Like they're going to do that. So
yeah, exactly. And it's appearance fee based. So the Rivals players can earn up to $20,000 in appearance fees, and then the MPL players can earn up to $50,000 in appearance fees. So that actually, that quells a lot of people's concern with these, streaming contracts and the other contracts that they kind of had, and people kind of getting into the MPL and then not going to paper tournaments.
Yeah, the one thing that's interesting about that is like obviously that does mean, and yeah, we're talking about one MPL member very specifically that we talked about, but this does imply more than just players championships or players tournament. There we go.
Right.
Or like Mythic Invitationals. This also definitely suggests GPs, which while we don't have the full structure for what that looks like, it does seem like GPs are going to be a little more important than before.
Yes.
And MPL points, we understand what they actually do now a little bit.
Mythic points and mythic points
and
player points as
their
well.
Terminology and all this information is great. This information is super dense with like 50 charts. And I've been worried about real life things, so fake charts for a thing I'll never be in has not been my forte. And I apologize because I don't want you to sit here and think that I'm giving like, a half, but look at this.
Right. And not to mention this is come out a little bit ago, and I've forgotten most of it, but we're looking at it as we go.
I think the MPL stuff is nice. That for those who are in the MPL, you understand how you stay on it.
Yes.
There is some fear over how some of these things are still fairly results heavy, and Watson said they're looking into that so that you get rewarded more for better finish, consistent finishes. Thus, hopefully, a revamp to the Grand Prix. So, because I could see it being super. You could be super anxious if you're the MPL member who's like, well, I didn't do this. I have to go be in this gauntlet, and I guess there goes my livelihood. So
right, but that's tough.
But it also does make it more secure overall for the MPL. Who those are in the MPL right now, like up until this announcement, didn't know if they were in the MPL again next year. And it's nice to be like, hey, you got this contract. It's like, yeah, but what happens when the contract ends? And they don't give them any any understanding of what's going to happen with that. So. That's nice at least. I think the thing I'm more excited about though is the players tournament. I think that's a big deal.
So the Pro Tour went away for the Mythic Championship,
but the PT didn't die,
and now the Mythic Championship is going away for the Players Tour. And the Players Tour is going to be a regional tournament. It's going to have 3 regions: the Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific. And each region will get 3 Players Tours a year. So that's 9 PTs technically. And they have said that there's going to be coverage for these events. I don't know if there's going to be coverage for every event.
Yeah, they might just, assuming these land on similar weekends.
Yeah.
Then you probably pick one.
Right.
To fully cover, but
there are separate coverage partners in you have Nico in Japan. So if the
oh man, I mean that sounds nice, but they've kind of turned their back on a lot of them since Channel Fireball, correct?
I guess I'm not really sure if that would be the case now that we have this sort of regional thing where I imagine they would have to partner with.
It depends on what their contract with CFB says.
I suppose.
I guess they do their own streaming for the Mythic Invitationals or whatever Mythic.
Yeah, as far as I know, CFB is only really involved in GPs. So,
but I mean, that's interesting. Well, I'll be interested to see what they do with that. So
yeah,
I'm glad that there's coverage for that.
But these are you queue for these in similar ways that we've been used to. We have we're back to having PTQs.
Nice.
They're just player tours qualifiers now, and there's that in combination with if you have a store that is a certain WPN level, they can have their own special qualifier as well. And these qualifiers aren't necessarily just like a one shot; they can be staggered potentially. I don't know if that's just for the WPN stores or for the actual PTQs that exist, but it does give, depending on your store, it does give them a little bit of freedom how they want to actually get you qualified. Excuse me. But there are a bunch of different ways that you can actually qualify for a player's tour tournament.
Yeah, sorry, the terminology here is tough. We've used Mythic 100 times. But,
yeah, 100%.
Obviously, the move to players tour is a sort of a subtle way for them to keep the PT, but to get rid of the word pro, which either professional or promotional. But
right.
Like, we've seen what they're doing with the judges. They want to steer clear of all that issue.
Yes.
But also, the cool thing about this is instead it's going to double the amount of invites for for this. So there'll be 3,600 invites across the 9 Players Tour events versus 1,800 under the old Pro Tour Mythic Championship system. So now that still comes out to it's probably similar numbers of players at each event, just more events. But like if you were the last 6 months, as Morgan alluded to, we've had so many people lamenting sort of the death of like maybe I'll never qualify for one, maybe I'll this, like I don't know if it's worth grinding. And now like you by having like this many events and more chances, this is a good way to sort of light the spark for those people. I guess ignite the spark, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah, good.
TM. Nope, yep. I'm sued. But for those people who may have like felt a little hopeless or a little lost, like, hey, you know what? We want you to come be on the RPT, and we're going to give you more chances for it. Yeah. And also, we're going to make sure there's one. I say make sure there's one in your region.
Yeah.
Now, the region gets a little murky. Like North America or the Americas is a region. Assumedly, based on what we've had in the past, that means 3 in North, and specifically 3 in the United States, and probably not one in like Canada or South America. And there should really, I don't know about Canada so much, but there should really be one in Latin America.
I think there will be. I think with their partnership with the LATAM League that Willie Idol's organization is going to be heading, I think that buys them a lot of clout, and I think that they'll have one in South America.
I think so too. I don't want to talk. I'm going to keep saying "but," so deal with it because we're PG podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk about it. But I will say, politically, right now, they're going to have some problems.
Yeah.
Historically, there's been some issues when they've tried to go into Brazil, and that's why we've had less. And a number of countries in South America, like it's hard to judge how friendly or accessible that will be. And that's not me talking for a whole continent, of course, but it is. WotC has not normally been bold in those scenarios, so I hope South America gets one.
Yeah, me too.
Do it, but like I could see them taking the cop out and just being like, "Well, next year."
I guess. Never getting it. I think any space you decide to have it in the America's region is probably going to be difficult.
Yeah, that's probably true. And it's nice so that each region has this. Europe can spread it across Europe a little bit, which is nice. And obviously, when you're talking about all these regions, like there's a wide amount of space here, but it's nice that you don't have like what we just encountered essentially, where you've got to like now I've got to get to Spain. You know what I mean? Like no, you can qualify for the for the one
in your region.
In Richmond, which let's be honest, one's going to be in Richmond forever.
Probably.
I think the one on Saturday it qualifies for the Mythic Championship in Richmond. Right?
Yeah, yes. Great. Okay, cool. But that's the last Mythic Championship. That's the last tabletop.
I thought that was the last time we'd be in Richmond for any reason.
I wish. Probably not though.
I mean, that makes a tough decision. Like if I'm in the finals, do I just like? Do I try to make a split beneficial and then and then like just like concede to not go to Richmond?
It's not worth it. Take the Q. Go to Richmond. It'll be okay.
I mean, I went to Roanoke for the Invitational. I would go back to Richmond.
Come on.
So.
But like I said, there's a ton of ways that you can actually qualify for the Players Tour, and it's important to note that you can go to any region that you do want to go to, but you can only go to one per season, I
Yeah,
guess,
you
for lack
stamp,
of a
you
better
stamp your
term.
ticket. You decide which one you want to go to, which again is great for those who are trying to find one close to them.
Yep.
But yes, you aren't going to play in. You're not going to play in 9 of these in a year.
No, you're
That's
going
important.
to play in 3 of these a year.
But even these though, they feed. They feed into.
The Player Tour final.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
Yep, so this is going to be the top finishers of the Player Tours events based on record, the top finishers for previous Player Tour finals, all 24 MPL players, and each Grand Prix winner in a qualifying season. So this is why when you look at a Grand Prix now, winning a Grand Prix is kind of a big deal because it qualifies you for the Players Tour and the Players Tour finals. And this is so there's I think there's been a lot of like comparisons to the Players Tour as a large regional PTQ, and then that the Players Tour's finals is the big sort of like Pro Tour connection. I don't know if that's fair. We really don't know what these are going to feel like and be like. I don't know if you could just like say right off the bat, because you've been to RPTQs and they're big, but I don't think they're as...
one. A number of them aren't actually big, and two,
Yeah.
they are understated affairs. I do not. If for your ego you need it to feel different, then like I don't know what to tell you, but based on the multiple, I played 4 RPTQs, 5 RPTQs. They don't feel good. They don't feel special. They feel like business. Whereas I think these players tour stops are going to, being regional like they are, I think they're going to feel like PTs. I think that's what they're going to feel like.
Right.
So, and if they don't, then WotC's
And
wasted an opportunity.
Just for the sheer fact that, I mean, as far as I know, that these are going to be organized by WotC. I don't think these are organized by stores.
This is from the WotC level, and like again, like you're not gonna pick which regional around the world you're gonna fly to try and spike. You know what I mean? These are still gonna be significant in size.
Yeah.
Whereas the RPTQs, like it's like, well, this one in Nebraska might only have 24 people,
right?
Like Flores, but hey, it worked out for him, I guess.
I suppose. But this is going to be, these events will invite approximately 120 players, and we'll have $250,000 in a prize pool. So it's a big tournament, and you definitely want to be able to qualify for it through any way that you can.
I'm excited about those finals for that, because I feel like they can really play around with formats in those kind of tournaments if they want to, which is kind of unique. And like obviously we don't have any format announcements or anything like that, but I do think that is something they can do. So
for sure,
I think again all of this is super positive. More chances to play, more chances to qualify. It's wordy. This is very dense, but clear understanding for a lot of players. There's in it, and all of a sudden WotC's digital presence, like when this announcement went out, were way up, and they have on Twitter guarantee or they're going to respond in a more timely fashion and be more open. Which that to me sounds like a department got fired. You know what I mean? I don't mean I don't hope that somebody lost their jobs, but I mean to me it sounds like somebody cleaned house and said we're switching how we do social media. So they've already openly said on Twitter they're looking into the and this is I think a response to oh shoot, who was it? SCG player writes about Esper all the time. Shaheen, there we go. I can't remember names, but him because he's one of these gold players who that was a section who talking about like again the lack not having to have high finishes but consistency. So. But I think for like myself, who at this point, haven't bought a house, my wife is pregnant. I don't know if I've said that on the podcast before. So like, hey, my wife is pregnant. So
obviously, congratulations.
Go smash that support button on Patreon, because Mike needs a crib. I bought the big crib, only a little crib though.
Yeah,
so if you just go smash that Patreon button, just slam it all the way down. But in all, like I know that like the amount I play, like this summer is the least Magic I've played in the summer.
Yeah.
Since I moved into the Columbus area. Like I played in 1 MCQ, we went to the Invitational, and then you and I went to Gen Con and played in 1 Modern tournament. And those 3 days are the only weekend Magic I have played outside of a Cube Night.
Mm-hmm.
So like this isn't going to be for me as much, but it's nice to know that like I won't have to do something crazy to try and get back and qualify. I can go out and play a PTQ or whatever and know what the grind is.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of PTQs, we will actually have a new promo card, which is going to be Cryptic Command.
That's a good one.
That
With
is
the
a good
iconic
one.
Masters art, which is really
Iconic
nice.
Masters art, and it has text on it, which I think is really important. Obviously, but yeah, that's a pretty exciting addition to the promos, and I think that there's going to be more promos that are exclusive to the WPN qualifiers as well.
Yes, they
But
have
I
their
don't think we know
own.
what those are yet.
Just there'll be 32 promos for those. So
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of wish I really wish I was getting one of these on Saturday as opposed to another Bark Boy. So
Yeah, it's true. And then we have obviously, it's really exciting to see that like Star City Games and potentially in the aforementioned LatAm Magic series, they're going to be getting their own ways to qualify, which was a thing for a little bit, and then it got taken away, and now it's back. So if you are out there grinding the Star City Games tournament, you can qualify for the Pro Tour. Oh well, Players Tour.
yeah, well, and I'm hoping a lot more places are able to do this. What's the Canadian store that has their own series?
Face to face.
Face to face. They have their own
Yes.
big series. I'm assuming they'll be able to hopefully petition to turn that into one of these series.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to see. I think for especially like just in the United States, for the people on the West Coast who have always felt sort of left out here, this is this is kind of the chance for something to pop up. Make a tournament series. Do something. So I think that's kind of cool. It doesn't have to be the tour. It doesn't have to be the SCG tour, but it could be something. So
Right.
overall, this is super positive. Overdue, like unbelievably overdue, and I think WotC rightfully got a lot of credit for how good a lot of this is, but also tried to shirk some of the hey, you jerk people around, specifically people you have under contract around for months and months. So the old Stephen Colbert tip of the hat, but wag of the finger.
Wag of the finger. There is some more stuff here about like Magic Arena tournaments. Obviously, the Invitational is still going to be a thing. You can still qualify for it through Arena, through the weekends, sort of qualification weekends and everything like that.
And the Mythic Invitational is still going to be a thing, right?
Yes, the Invitational. Yeah. So, and then you're actually going to get it's going to go down to the top 1,200 players now instead of just the top 1,000. So
makes sense because that's when the countdown starts.
Yeah. So more people are going to be able to compete in those weekends, and it's obviously going to be constructed or limited. There are also going to be these other tournaments that are their Mythic Point tournaments that you still have to qualify for. I think it's still the 12. Top 1,200 that can compete in it, but you can compete and win more mythic points, and the mythic points help you feed the other things. So now we know what these actually points are good for now, and that helps out a lot. Instead of being like,
nothing.
Huh?
What? Say it again.
I said they still were something. I mean, like obviously your mythic.
Just making a joke.
I know
about war and mythic points.
Yeah, gotcha. But yeah, so overall, like I think, like what you were saying, Mike, this is a big, positive change. There's still some questions for sure, but less actually, which is a change of pace.
It is. I still, like most others, wish that we could get Nationals back. We had it for those brief few years, and it was lovely.
Nationals was fun.
But
I was really hoping that we would continue to get it just so we could have more Fetchland promos.
Also sweet, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be cool. Like, it'd be cool if they would consider, and maybe they'll be more free to do that now if they want to. But like, Nationals doesn't have to feed anything. You know what I mean? Just like Star City, it does like their regionals. You know what I mean? Like maybe just have a person who gets national champion for a year. Like that's just their title.
Yeah,
and that's cool. And we go on.
That would be nifty.
It would.
All right. So the next big topic that we want to talk about is the BNR update. And this happened on the 26th, so just this Monday.
I disagree with you.
What?
I think based on our question of the week, we should move that down a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about the arena, state of the arena thing, and then we can decide if we want to talk about the other two things. And then we come to the BNR.
Okay.
And do a little longer on that because we're going to talk about that one for a while.
Fair enough. I mean, that's true. So, what happened today? Oh man. So
Hey, you know how Morgan's gonna grind his tears right now.
so the State of the Arena beta came out today, and there's some really positive stuff, and they front loaded the real positive stuff. To be honest, they talked about rotation, and they made sure that people knew like what's happening during rotation, how things are going to obviously being paper players. A lot of our fan base being players for a long time, we understand what standard rotation is, but obviously a lot of arena players may not
Yeah,
know
that's
that
a
this
big
is
shift.
happening. Yeah,
I don't know how, and not to cut you off here. I don't know how does like Hearthstone
they
deal
have
with
they have
that.
a rotation.
Do they have eternal formats?
Yes, they
Okay.
have Wild. So Wild is their eternal format, and then they have a standard rotation. But
Okay.
not initially. They didn't initially have one, but it was after they implemented a few more sets. That's when rotation
Yeah,
started.
I was just wondering about that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're good. So obviously there's no collection resets. They're actually going to be doing a special event called Standard 2020. So that's going to be like standard without like small standard basically. So it's of course at 2020 and then the legal sets for standard, and they're going to have like special events for you to start like brewing and thinking about what things might be good when Eldraine comes out. And of course historic play is another thing that they talked about, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But they talked about this idea of like renewal rewards. So September 9th through the 26th, they're going to have standard 2020 events, like I said, and these are going to reward XP, so you can kind of finish out your mastery track if you want to, and try to get to the max level before rotation happens, which is good. And then starting September 26th at first login, they will give 10 rare individual card rewards, so ICRs. I don't know if you have to log in. I think you have to log in every day. You get one every day after
Sure.
the 26th. And then they kind of give you an idea of like what the Eldraine set mastery from levels 1 through 25 will look like, and the kind of rewards that you get. And this is sort of their way to jumpstart your collection for Eldraine and get you ready for playing some standard to get started pretty much. So and I think that's fine. And let's see. So that was pretty much the start for like renewal and everything like that, and get your collection built back up after rotation. So obviously you are going to be a lot of your cards are going to be rotating out of standard. So we have historic, and historic was announced, and a lot of people didn't really like what they were trying to say with it. So they said that we're going to change a few things about it. And they had sort of big three key points. It should feel distinct from other constructed formats, namely standard. It should feel competitive, and they would have to find a balance for the long-term health of Magic Arena within the historic format. So, the first thing was making it feel distinct. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be, starting in November, they're going to be releasing 15 to 20 new cards into historic period. So sort of like a direct injection, the same thing that happened with like Modern Horizons on a smaller scale. And they were, they had the some of the developers on weekly MTG, and they kind of gave a pretty good idea that there's a lot of stuff that's on the table that could be added in. They said things like, to give you a feeling for it, none of these were confirmed, but things like Wormcoil Engine, Dark Confidant, Firebolt, that kind of...
I think Brainstorm as well was one of the other cards.
Yeah, Brainstorm. So
Firebolt shouldn't be in that list, but hey, it kills Dark Confidant, I guess.
So the only thing, like Firebolt definitely tells you like you could see cards that have mechanics on it that aren't that we haven't seen. Firebolt obviously has flashback, so it's like that's relevant. It's not the power level. It's just like saying we're not afraid to mix it up in that particular dynamic.
Yes, historic definitely suggests they're not afraid.
No, definitely not. So, but that's fairly exciting. So they're going to continue to do that. I don't know if it's going to be every month or anything like that, but that's an interesting idea for sure. and then they wanted to talk about competitive, and obviously that means to us like best of three. So they are going to have a ranked queue for it that is going to be best of three, but it's not permanent. Their ranked queue is only going to be for the month of December. It's like 4 weeks, and they basically want to be careful with it. It's new. They don't know how necessarily balanced or everything is going to shake out within the format. So they were basically saying like we're going to have this and we're going to see how it goes, and then basically the future is not set in stone on what that'll look like. Historic will always be available in best of one, but best of three is not always guaranteed at this point in time, which it was, I think that disappointed a lot of people. A lot of people just are like, "Hey, give us give us best of three as much as possible." So, but it looks like you're reading something interesting.
I'm sorry. You're getting down there. I was just reading how wildcards work with historic.
That's the
It's obviously, I knew what you had already said was bad, and I was confirming that. But like, go talk about it, and I'll say what is perplexing
me. The thing that I just so starting in November, if you want to obtain a card that is legal only in the historic format, or a printing of a card from a now historic set.
That is the one that had me even more perplexed.
Correct. It'll cost you 2 wild cards instead of 1. That is correct. If you want an older card you can only use in one format, it'll cost you more money. And that is the no fear that we were referencing to earlier in this discussion. It is the most. I couldn't believe it.
Hey,
I read that it
cost twice as much.
Literally,
awesome.
Literally, people thought like it was a typo. Like, do you mean you get 2 cards for 1 wild card? Like
that BOGO sale?
I think you have the ratio like way backwards.
It's funny you mentioned ratio because this announcement certainly got ratioed,
and so the reason it's upsetting is because it is so clearly just a cash grab. It is so clearly and blatantly just like saying we can't make this format cost the same as standard because then people won't pay money to play standard. Exactly. And they on the weekly MTG thing they kept reinforcing like arenas, it's standard focus, that's our primary goal, blah 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 blah, and it's just like then why are you even doing this? Just dust my entire collection and give me like imaginary like points or coins. Like if that's what your main goal is, why are you even doing this? Like what are we doing here? It is the buck wildest thing I think that has happened today. It is very frustrating. There is 0 people that are like happy about this. It is not like they're not like pulling something off here. Everyone clearly knows that it's just greed, or it's just like you're literally making it so that after November, if you are new to Arena, you will never play Historic, like ever. I mean, maybe the next time rotation like comes around, and then you're like, well, I have this pretty decent collection now. Keep in mind that I still have about 4 sets I probably don't own any cards from. And maybe that's a little disingenuous. They did say that they're going to have events that hand out historic cards as ICR rewards. There's going to be a first event that comes out that's going to give you immediately a playset of every new card they're adding in. So like the 15 to 20 cards they're adding in, you're going to enter this event in November, and it's going to give you a playset of all those cards, which is great. That's a good idea. I wish they didn't cost 2 wild cards a piece. That's the messed up part, right? We're going to give you 15 to 20 new cards. Also, they cost 2 wild cards a piece, and there is no way you could get them in standard. 0 ways that you could actually acquire them. Now, you could join this event that'll probably cost gems or coins, and then you can earn them by winning in that event. But other than that,
I want to also make mention of the secondary part of that, because that's the one that made me tilt my head so much. So, and they specifically used the example of luminous bonds.
Correct.
So it's a common, but for the sake of whatever pacifism, whatever.
Sure.
So whatever set has a printing of is it Core set right now has a printing of
Core set
pacifism.
20 as one.
And next year Core set M20 rotates out, and a new set comes in
That has pacifism.
but it has pacifism. But you're like, I like the art on the M20 pacifism better. I'll craft that one, even though it's a standard legal card and it's literally digital dust. It still costs 2 wild cards to craft it.
That's correct. People were
What?
people were screaming and like had to keep straight faces while explaining this to people, and I was like, that's a lot, because I couldn't. I could just be like, this is the worst idea, and it's just like,
You can everything rotates on September 26th, right? It's the date they're using here, September 26th. That's when Eldraine is out.
well, I think Eldraine comes out later.
So September
Question mark?
26th, no, September 26th, 2019. Ixalan Rivals
Okay, yeah,
all
yeah,
rotate
you're right,
out.
you're right. So yeah, a paper release is probably different. That's
Hold
what it
on
is.
though. It is
Yeah.
different. Hold on though. From that moment, September 26th until November,
Yes,
you can still redeem Rivals, Ixalan, and Dominaria cards at a 1-to-1 ratio.
correct.
But then November happens,
And it's not.
and all of a sudden it's 2 for 1. The
Correct.
cards will have already rotated for almost 2 months.
Yep.
I don't know. I got nothing. I really got nothing.
I don't know what to tell you, man. This is just how it is. Because November is when Historic is obviously like fully integrated.
I guess.
It's bad.
Anyway,
It's so bad.
you can
They
only-
have to change it.
And you can only buy packs of old sets at a 45 bundle. Is
Correct.
that right? Yeah.
Right. And like people are, I think genuinely people have like an obvious like reason to be upset about that. The most efficient way to buy cards is the 100 gem bundles.
Right.
Like that's the best bang for your buck. And to like lock them into this, they're like, oh well, this is the most popular way that people choose to buy it. It's just like, okay, how much does it cost you to give every option? Like what are we?
Again, nothing. It's digital space.
I mean, I assume like it costs some fraction of a chunk of a server space, right?
Yeah,
So it costs something.
I guess.
I don't think it's enough to not do it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
It just feels like
Historic was already was half
Yes.
half baked anyways. Like it was barely an idea.
again.
Now it's a joke.
yeah. This is something that I told. We had a show chat. We were discussing this, and I was like, "This is just so Wizards can say like, hey, here's Historic.
Yeah,
Here's what you could do with
we
your
tried.
with your rotated cards, and it's not for people to play. It's for them to just say that they did something.
Say that it exists.
Yeah, 100%.
It's there. Did you not look at it?
It's there. Your rotated cards, you can still play with them. It's called Historic. Don't you want to go play Historic? No one wants to play Historic anymore. Ugh. They did say they're gonna have like singleton Historic events and whatever. I don't know. It's a bummer. It's too expensive. I-
It's I don't know. I can't say anything other than I don't know. It is a weird thing that they have decided to do.
100%. And I just don't like why. Why make this? Why make this change when everyone in the room is definitely going to know that you're just doing it so you can make money still? I'm not saying like they don't deserve to make money. Like they're a company, they're making a product that I want to, enjoy. But like just let me enjoy it.
Here's what one, regardless of a 2-for-1 or 1-for-1 for wild cards, you still have to obtain wild cards. So suggesting that if a person wants to make one Historic deck and only play Historic forever, who cares then? You weren't making money off that player anyways. You know what I
True.
mean? But beyond that, you just said, you want to play and enjoy your game. How many times do we have to say Magic's the best game in the world? Stop putting stop making it hard to play Magic.
Listen,
Why do you do that? Why do you make it hard to play Magic?
because they're corporate daddy, because Hasbro,
Corporate daddy.
because the corporate daddy needs them to make money. All right, and if they don't make money, they'll be in timeout.
Yeah, Hasbro just spent a ton of money buying Peppa Pig, so they got to recoup those costs with
Yeah.
those sweet arena dollars.
Listen, they gotta make back that Peppa Pig investment. What they also bought something weird recently.
Because that no, it's part of the Peppa Pig thing. They own like a record company that has a bunch of gangster rap too.
Oh yeah,
it's part of the whatever company owned Peppa Pig. They just bought the whole company.
It's Death Row.
Yeah, it's Death Row Records. It's Death Row Records.
Oh man.
So yeah, confirming Patrick Chafin's next album being released on Death Row Records.
He wishes. Oh man,
But
yeah. I saw that article. I was like, that's the wildest thing in the world.
Whoever Hasbro CEO is, they're just and in my mind, Hasbro CEO definitely is a J. Jonah Jameson stand-in, just chomping on a cigar. He's like, I like what that Disney's doing over there. We're gonna do some of that. Who can we buy? Peppa Pig. What else do we get? This record company. Neat. Get them.
Put them all in the same universe. give Peppa Pig a recording contract.
Hey, contact Sony. See if we can get Spider-Man.
I don't mind 50-50. As long as I get them pictures.
All right, so picture this. Photography plane.
Oh man. Jeez.
It's bad. It's bad.
I just can't wait till the crossover Planeswalker that we'll get in the next few sets. That's just like Snoop Dogg or something.
Snoop Lion.
Snoop Lion.
It's the new Savannah Lions reprint. Snoop Lions.
Oh man. Anyway, friggin' this was just. It was just like. We were like, yeah, good, historic. What's going on? Oh, garbage. Okay. So, and they didn't bring up Brawl again. People were asking about Brawl. That's honestly, that is the most interested I will be in Arena.
Oh, absolutely. I think like they want to keep Brawl separate from that. Honestly, quite possibly because of the feedback that we're going to get from Historic, because
probably
Brawl's coming out with Eldraine, and that's what we've had so far. So I mean, that either means like it's going off with no problems, or they're quietly having issues with it and they don't want to tell anybody yet. So yeah. Let's go through these two negative things real quick, and then we can go through, since we're already in a downward spiral right now, making fun of corporate daddy. Amaze, a player,
Amaz.
Yeah. Amaz, I don't know, got DQ'd at GP Vegas. So that was interesting. And I know we got his sort of side of the story, which sounded interesting at best, but essentially he tried to push past a judge who had told him to go a different direction. And by pushing past the judge, like physically touch that judge. I don't know how physical that was or not. And one thing led to another, and he got him DQ'd for unsporting. Now, his side of the story make it seem like it was vindictive judges, and he's now afraid of judges. And I gotta be honest, I don't buy that.
No, definitely not. The first mistake he made is he definitely named the floor judge that he had this interaction with, and don't do that. How about you have a ton of followers that are now going to
attack this person?
Yeah, probably, and probably more likely did. I don't know for that for sure, but it's just like, how about you not do that? And secondly, this floor judge can't DQ you. The head judge DQ you.
Yeah, the head judge DQ'd you. It got pushed all the way to the head judge.
So that's who has to take care of that DQ in the first place. So it's like, what are you even trying to like pull here? The story just doesn't line up. Don't touch judges first and foremost. In any
don't touch any Magic player that doesn't.
Yeah.
So we all bump into each other going back and forth to things, but
like, and in any this was talked about on Magic Mics, but like in any like high level competitive event, you don't touch the referees. You don't do that. You get in trouble, So the same would apply in the Magic realm. So just like, don't. Also, if a judge tells you that you can't go a certain way, which you can't in like day 2s of GPs, you can't walk up and down aisles. Like, to like cut through or anything like that. You go around the best that you can. So if a judge tells you to go around, okay, judge, and follow what the judge says. Don't try to be like, oh, I'm just gonna be real quick. Don't worry about it. Like, no, the judge told you to not do that, and so don't do that.
Right.
Like you are attending a Magic event, and in that turn, you are basically saying that I'm going to respect the authority of the judges. They are the judging staff. They, to a certain degree, you should be able to reasonably respect their requests, right? I'm not saying, if a judge asks you to jump, you say how high. I mean, there's limits to
I
to
can't
that.
jump very high. I'm very fat.
There's limits to everything. You know what I'm trying to say.
No, I get it.
But the judge is being
I'm
reasonable.
sorry, Judge. I can't jump that high.
The judge is being, as far as what I've been seeing, the judge was being reasonable in his request, and there was no reason for Amaz to be like, no, like, no, that's not an appropriate response, and it's also not an appropriate response to try to sidle by him and push him or whatever happened, whatever physical contact happened. Judge told you not to do something, you didn't listen, and then you had this altercation of some persuasion.
Yeah, I, in the judge groups that I'm in and reading back and forth, like talking about how like what it takes to go from whatever warning he received for bumping into the judge to get it to become this flagrant to get DQ'd for it. It has to have some acceleration, and the whole point of the reason that the same judge can't give you that DQ is so that even if there was a scenario of an individual being angry with you, taking out frustration on you, because people are humans. We've all encountered judges who've had bad days. We've been players in bad days. So could there be a scenario where something is taken the wrong way? You know what I mean? If I got pushed by somebody, I might perceive it as more aggressive than the person who absentmindedly pushed me. But it's so give every benefit of the doubt there and say it was just miscommunication between two humans, right? As you said, one human is in a position of authority, and somehow you went from that miscommunication to DQ, and the situation as described is not believable. It just isn't. It's just not how judge staffs work, and that's the whole reason they're staffed the way they are, with a chain of command and everything else. So, is it possible for someone to again have those miscommunications? Yes, I do not think, as it's presented by Amaz, that it's possible to go from that situation to DQ with him doing nothing but saying I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that's the thing there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and again, yeah, like you said, don't say the judge's name there. That's messed up.
Yeah,
I think I saw some people who want to compare this to like I'll be delicate here, but like a situation with like police or anything like that. You should recognize that like the judge here, that you got DQ'd from a tournament. That's the impact they can have on your life. That's it. And they're not getting paid like anywhere near like this is literally them as close to volunteering as you're going to get most of the time for these things. Like, it's not like that.
No,
it's not. So fun times. And then, hey, someone appeared from the woodworks that we weren't hoping was going to appear from the woodworks. Who was that, Morgan?
This is Owen Turnwald.
Cool. Hey, we're going to talk about this real quick because I don't want to say his name very much. Some bad looks. He's playing Hearthstone apparently. Got some retweets from Hugh Jensen, and after he got a lot of, both him and Owen got a lot of at best mixed feedback, but honestly a lot of super negative feedback and a lot of fighting in the Magic area of the Magic community. Owen did release a small Twitter statement suggesting that he had having some issue with alcohol dependency and not really recognizing the things he had been doing, and it's a pretty minor apology, and like probably would have done more had it appeared before the Hearthstone tweet. You know what I mean? Just saying. And here I'm not here to judge anyone's personal journey and personal demons if they're dealing with problems, but it felt half-hearted, and all I can hope is that all the people who are jumping on these threads who have been saying it since he got banned by WotC, or got removed from the MPL and the Hall of Fame, like, show me the receipts. Him saying he's done bad things, he's apologizing, certainly seems like that should be all the receipt you need, man. It should be all the receipts you ever. Here's you shouldn't need them in the first place.
No, but
maybe that's the only positive out of this. So, I think that it definitely left. We've had some responses from Reed Duke as well. Now, these are Reed Duke and Hugh Jensen are still arbiters, sort of the community, and I don't know what else to expect of them at this point, but it does seem like they dropped the ball here pretty hard. It's probably unfair to assume they would abandon a friend like that. A friend
Mhm.
as close as that, somebody who I don't know if he still lives with him or not.
Yeah.
However, it was not treated delicately, and it's pretty frustrating when you have people who receive so much goodwill for their actions who don't seem to recognize how much hurt came from their friend's action. That's the thing, you know. And all these people who, if you want to go and grovel at Owen's feet because he's good at a game, go ahead. We've said nice things about him on here. All different things because he's a good Magic player. But the second you're doing the kind of things that are he is that have been said about him and the things that got him removed from the MPL, if your response when you hear me say that is, well, what do you actually know, Mike? What do you actually know? What have you actually heard? Versus the women who have spoken out in the Magic community, and then him saying, I'm sorry, and going, oh, maybe he did hurt a bunch of people. Maybe this is a problem. If your response isn't to understand like what that has done to possible victims, as opposed to like, again, defending this person who does not care about you. It is important that you understand. Barely cares about the people that he did these things to, apparently. So why in the world does he care about you, random Twitter person? Stop it. Like, I guess this is me sounding like an old man who's like, don't have heroes, kids. but I think like we can put people on a pedestal for their skill and a thing we like. You know, I'm a big sports fan. I there's a lot of sports players I love. But man, you can do things that make me not care anymore. Great, you're a good football man, but don't be a trash human, right? Great, like,
Right.
you know, I mean, you're a good card man. Like, don't be a trash person. And I think like he can continue to do whatever he wants as long as I guess other companies allow him to play their games.
Yeah.
But it is upsetting that I don't know. It's just upsetting how many people in the community run back to that person, like just because like of talent.
Yeah.
And how many people are affected by this?
And to be fair, talent and personality. It's not as if that isn't a portion of it.
You're not wrong.
Because I mean the way that he portrayed himself and was in a lot of his forward facing interactions was of a certain way that attracted people to who he was as a personality. If I think Reduke in his tweet to responding to the apology, definitely said that something to the nature of actions speak sort of louder than the apology or something something to that. And I do hope that he is getting the help that he needs to not be the aforementioned trash human being. And I don't want him in the game that I play. I don't want him in my communities. I hope he gets better, but I don't know how you apologize for the things that you did, the hurt that you caused. I think that's hard to do. I don't know. I've never been a victim in that way, and I cannot imagine that happening. Those situations being perpetrated against me in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know what achieves forgiveness on that victim's end, and I wouldn't want to guess, but some notepad apology in a tweet and a couple of pillars of the community sticking up for you is not enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think like people are quick to say like, well, second chances are important, and I agree. Second chances are important. Second chances, like when people talk about those things, it's just like the people who like, I'm going to pay with a broad brush here, but when people decry like freedom of speech, when like someone gets like fired from their job and they don't recognize that like it has nothing to do with freedom of speech, like they can say whatever they want, and that company also has the freedom to fire them, right? Yeah. Like the same is true. Like second chances, like second chance in life. He's not
dead.
He's not dead. He's not having anything taken away from him. He had an income source taken away from him, just like anybody would in a job scenario where that happened.
Yeah.
And he has a chance to come back and do those things. It doesn't mean he gets to do it at the highest levels in Magic because he burned that bridge. He did. His friends can still be there, he can do these things, but like that second chance thing is you don't get a second chance to come play a kid's card game. You know what I mean? Like
no.
You can keep playing it for fun, but like you say goodbye to that one. You move on. If he's going to play Hearthstone, he's going to play Hearthstone. But
Yeah.
like that second chance card, it's like he has it. He literally has it.
Correct.
He doesn't need to. He doesn't get to come be on the Pro Tour again.
Right.
I guess the players
Whatever.
don't.
Play a store.
I think that's where my line of frustration gets. Like, we come. You mentioned like not being a victim. Yeah, we come from a really privileged position. I know that. I will not have to experience that more than likely in my life.
Right.
And I work. Okay, I was gonna say like I work hard to make sure I don't have to work that hard to make sure I don't do that to people. You know what I mean? Like I just want you. I just don't have to work that hard to not try and do that. Be awful to women and other people in that situation. So I just don't get it. I don't get just like lining up at the boots of that person. You know what I mean? Again, we could both be genuine saying I hope that if he is ill, you know what I mean?
Then he gets help.
I come from a family that has issues with alcoholism. I get it. It's awful. It makes you a person not who they are. If that's what he's insinuating there, then it's a long road, and it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime of change. Yeah. It doesn't take away what was done.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? You can talk about serving your time or this and that. like, yeah, it still doesn't take away what was done. There has to be a balance. Yeah, there just does. So,
yeah. And I don't have to, welcome him back with open arms and be like, oh, you're a changed individual, like you deserve my forgiveness or anything like that. Or no, I'm not going to take the chance on you. Why? Go do whatever else you want to do, but stay out of my community because you messed up. I don't have to. You know what I mean? It's not like given. You get, like you said, he has a second chance at continue to live his life. He doesn't get a second chance in the Magic community. Right. There's no reason for him to.
And I think overwhelmingly that was what was said yesterday. But it definitely, like, I think this has been, and maybe this is where it comes to a head, I don't know, but there is still this consistent issue with a certain section of the pro contingent that, like, doesn't really seem to recognize, again, like, the effect these things have and protects the boys club, certainly, and the MPL is starting to change that a little bit, luckily. But and I think when you look at some of the better representatives of these things, like even Efro today, who I would not say is always the most positive, pleasant person in the Magic community, had some pretty strong things to say on this topic. So I think you need to have more of these people who are in these positions. It's just like in sports, they don't have to be a role model just because like you're a prominent figure. You don't have to be a role model. You know what I mean? But it shouldn't be hard to be a quality person. It shouldn't be hard to say no, this is wrong. It's hard to stand up to your friends. I know that it can be hard to stand up to your friends. I struggle with telling Morgan things all the time just because he needs to know them. But you gotta shave, man. I don't know about this guy.
I mean, I do. I'm pretty ragged right now. I'll tell you that.
I haven't seen the mustache like this in a while. I was just like, oh man, like that's the mustache again.
It's bad.
That's nice.
Let's get in food. It's not good.
Oh man. But let's move on from this. I think we're fairly clear how we stand, and and if you
100%,
if you want to support the guy, like that's up to you. But recognize that you shouldn't be doing that at the detriment of others. You shouldn't be going on Twitter trying to fight with people over this. Like, he recognized that he, by his own admission, now hurt people.
He hurt,
and you need to deal with that. So
he was damaging to the community.
Yes,
and it's not a good thing to rally to his cause or sing his successes. To be perfectly honest, it's sickening to a lot of people, and a lot of people who are advocates like Mike and I are for inclusivity and more diversity in Magic and getting as many people to feel comfortable and safe playing a children's card game. And it's, it sucks to constantly fight against this thing that exists within the Magic, but the nerd, the sort of nerd geek culture as a whole. And just don't do it. I don't know. If you're a fan of Owen Turnwald and we made you angry, like, go kick rocks. That's all I say. All right. Let's talk about the banned and restricted list. So this Monday on the 26th, we had our most recent BNR list, and we had a bunch of shakeups, a bunch of changes. So the first one is standard.
Yeah.
Rampaging Ferocidon is unbanned.
Wait, who's that? Is that? Oh God, it's Frosted with a steel chair. Oh my gosh.
So this card's gonna be legal in standard for like a month.
3 weeks.
Yeah. I sure.
You know what? I think just based on the format, it's if you were ever going to unban it, one, this is the
This is the time.
But I mean, it's a good unban. Scape Shift is dominating the format, and vampires, the vampire is also as well. And
Yep.
Frosted looks at Scape Shift and goes, "Yeah, make 36 zombies. I dare you."
Go ahead.
And looks at the one of the most consistent avenues for vampires, which is the life gain off of Sorin. You know, the 3-mana Sorin, and goes, "No, okay, let's do this." And also attack Sorin pretty effectively with Menace. So Red had been falling out of favor a little bit, and it gives another deck a little bit of a fighter's punch.
And like Gen Dinosaurs as well.
Also true. I forgot about that tech.
So yeah, okay. And like Wizards can look back and be like, look at this nice and clear and clean band list that we don't have.
I think was an arena deck list set.
Yeah.
Where they can just be like, what? Nothing. Look at that band list, which is pretty hilarious. Like, I really don't think that's the reason.
No,
but it's still real funny.
It's very funny.
So,
there were some vintage changes. We're not going to talk about vintage.
Yeah, I figured it was a matter of time though until Karn the Great Creator got the old.
Cards busted.
Yeah. So
we're going to focus on modern. And the easiest one to peg is Hogak. So Hogak, Risen Necropolis is banned. No longer will you have to stare at the art.
Thank goodness.
Of Hogak.
It's so awful.
I think like primally you knew that card was messed up.
Just day one, I looked at it. I was like, no. It's like looking at the Vigo painting. Yeah, it's just like, it's the evil spirit in this.
There's something wrong with here. I don't like it. Man's gonna steal a baby or something? I don't know.
Not just steal a baby, take its body. I do believe was the actual plan in that.
It's been a while.
I love Ghostbusters too, but it's convoluted.
The next one was not surprising, but it's Faceless Looting Span. All right. Nope. Brainstorm of modern gone.
Take a breath. I know it's been, we're coming at this a little later in the week, so if us talking about it again is putting you into a traumatic cycle, just take a breath.
If it reopens a wound, we apologize. But it's gone.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think this is like the first time I think we've seen them take the approach of like banning of like the big enablers that people constantly talk of, the Faithless Lootings, Mox Opals, Agent Stirrings, taking those enablers and removing them from the equation, and then this is the first pillar to fall, and it affects obviously a lot of decks. A Phoenix is kind of debatable.
Both Phoenixes do seem to kind of DOA right now.
Yeah, definitely mono red, 100%.
Yeah.
So until you get another available sort of discard outlet, that's probably not going to be happening.
Cathartic Reunion's still sitting there. Like there's ways you could still play the deck, but it certainly is not. It certainly just isn't Faithless Looting.
No. And something like even like mono red prowess is debatable. Still plausible, but
it loses so much velocity. It just does.
100%. Is it Phoenix has some potential replacements, but they're either more expensive or they don't quite, work the way that you want them to. Dredge takes a hit, probably will be fine. Though.
Yeah, I mean, the blue versions of it are playing worse cards.
Yeah,
for sure. What we see Tome Scour as a possible replacement, or Thought Scour.
Yeah.
And
Hogak, getting banned does affect Dredge in a little bit. They they played some
No,
number.
yeah, for sure.
Like,
It goes back to it just seems like it's reverting to an older version, and it will certainly be weakened because even if you can find a suitable like 1 mana replacement, losing flashback on Faithless Looting is just a big deal.
Yeah,
It just
100%.
is. You're not going to buy that back. So
No.
yeah, Dredge still functions, but I think it takes a justifiable hit for sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, we have decks like Mardu Pyromancer that were already like hanging on the fringes. That
Yeah.
it's going to be tough. I said arena deck list. Jerry Thompson suggested that you could still get by being just a little more mid rangey, playing more seasoned Pyromancers and Lilianos. But man, Modern has never been the deck where it's like, well, I'll just replace my 1-drop with 3 drops, and it'll be, I mean, like
It'll be okay.
It'll be a different deck. Things like Hollow One also takes a hit here. Gristlebrand takes a big hit. I just don't care.
Yeah,
at all.
That's fine.
So, but yeah, a lot of decks that just lose access to the card for sure. I mean, I enjoyed Mardu Death Shadow. It's gone. Faithless Looting is a big deal for that deck. So,
potentially.
For my version, the versions that have been going around with like Night Captains are a little less dependent on Faithless Looting. So, I'm sad to see the card go just because it's been the card that's dominated my Modern experience for a while. I've been hit by every ban, and like don't get me wrong, that probably makes sense because like when it comes to Modern, I like playing
the best deck.
I like playing I do like playing the best deck, and the best decks have pretty consistently been the decks that are doing the fastest thing. So outside of Splinter Twin, which still hurts, and someday you need to let me twin, Watsy. I need to twin.
I hate to tell you this.
Shut up. I don't need to hear it.
The next card we're going to talk about is going to really hurt Twins' chances of ever coming off the ban list.
But I think I don't know. Faithless Looting makes sense. Like when I compare it to other things that I've lost from bannings, Jackson Probe, things like that. Like Faithless Looting just does. And I think in their explanation they discussed a little bit how they're going to keep printing cards for the graveyard, and we saw with Hogak a little bit, though it wasn't only Faithless Looting, but cards like Faithless Looting hold them back a fair amount. It's tricky. So
for sure. But last card we want to talk about is Stoneforge Mystic is unbanned in Modern, and this is the first time the card's been legal in Modern. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. I posted a deck list in our Discord, and a friend was like, it's like, man, that deck looks like a deck that never has been playable in Modern. I'm like, no, it literally has never been playable in Modern. Like, it doesn't just look like one; it is one.
Yeah, correct. This is a big deal. Like, Stoneforge Mystic is the pinnacle white 2-drop. It's iconic. And it's obviously well known for the Stoneblade decks and was it Cobblade, and just it's a big deal. And that people are worried that it is going to cause sort of a Splinter Twin-esque issue, where you have this 6-card package that just kind of goes into any deck that could really play it, and I don't know, it's going to be interesting, for sure. I think their commitment in their article was that they were trying to move away from the graveyard and move on to the battlefield, and Stoneforge Mystic achieves that.
It definitely does. They also did mention that they are going to watch it like Guard Grave Troll. Like,
yeah.
If it is immediately a problem, it's going to go back. It's going to go back in the vault.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's my dream for Splinter Twin someday. Is it gets probation.
Yeah.
I don't know who I saw share it, but did you see the comic where it was like somebody being let out shackles, and it was like, all right, so you agree to help fix Modern, and it was just like a very hard looking Stoneforge Mystic, and they're like, I just have one question. Were the blanks my batter skull? And they had JIT tattooed on there. It was great. Just so hardened after all their time in prison. But
it's true.
No, it's certainly exciting. I don't know. We felt like, I don't know. I think we felt like Jace was going to be the thing. When it got I'm like, man, this is what's going to do in Modern, and it just hasn't. There's been a lot of powerful cards that have come off. And while certain cards that WotC has printed recently, Hogak specifically, have gotten themselves banned, most of their unbans have been on the money.
Yeah.
Like we've either seen average amounts of play or no play. I mean, when you look at look at some of the things that we've had come unbanned. Thopter Sword is just now seeing some play because of Urza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things like so Jason Mind Sculptor, average amount of play.
Bloodbraid Elf.
Bloodbraid Elf is seeing more play now because of Ren and 6. Before that, Jund was essentially a dead deck.
Yeah.
You think of things like I can't think of it. What's the bloom? Why can't the enchantment that makes fairies?
Bitter Blossom.
Bitter Blossom. I'm a bloom. There you go. Like
nothing.
Literally nothing. Like these
Wild Nicodle.
Well, okay, yeah, that was sad for its own reasons. But I think like when we look at the unbans, they've been kind of right. No matter what I think I freaked out a little over Jace. Ended up being entirely wrong. So I don't know. Maybe Modern does drastically shift. Maybe it does. I'm gonna play a Stoneblade deck at an MCQ on Saturday. Assumedly, I've got a few more cards to find, but I'm finding most of them. I don't know if that actually changes the format a ton or not. It's tough to say. It could be obscene. I could see that where every deck that could splash white feasibly will just do this. But I could also see it just not doing anything. You know what I mean? Batterskull seems good in a lot of matchups, but then when you really look at the format, like the format's playing a ton of already a ton of things like not Abrupt Decay, but what's the new one? Trophy. Assassin's Trophy. We have a ton of artifact hate running around. Not to mention that Kolaghan's Command is still hiding out in a lot of these places. Like it isn't hard to find ways to play with these things, and so unfortunately, Mystic is a lot of value, but it could just not be good enough without Jit. It could just not be good enough. Swords are fine; they're certainly powerful. Batterskull is super powerful, but maybe without Jit, it just isn't. It isn't going to matter.
Yeah, and that could very well be true. I'm interested to see what happens, and it's exciting to see like we got these two bans and this unban, and it's been invigorating. I think a lot of people are really interested in playing with this card because it's so important to them. People have like play sets have been sitting on them and been like, one day you'll be legal, and then
like Morgan. I'm playing his Stoneforge Mystics this weekend.
That's true. I picked up some before Gen Con because I had blue white built, and I was like, maybe, just maybe, just in case. And this was weird because it was like we were so focused on bans that people were like weren't focused on it, so we didn't see the traditional like jump before the announcement in the drop immitely afterwards. Right. So it caught people off guard, and I think it'll be interesting. You have your immediate like we could shift into like talking about so we have a MCQ this weekend. It's hosted by Comic Town. You can find out more information about it by going to worldofcomictown.com.
Do an ad. It segues right into it. This is great.
And it's capped at 200 players, and you can pre-register for it online. So definitely check it out.
Now, more by you putting this ad in here, you do have to put this up by tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
It has to go up because it's Thursday. This is me just for Morgan. So when this comes up on Sunday and you listen to this, you can go, "Oh, he didn't do it.
He didn't."
Morgan, you missed that window, bud.
Just dragging me.
I'm sorry. I'm the reason we haven't cast in 2 weeks. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you monster.
No, this is a monster.
Yeah, Mike's currently drinking. Thank you. I'm sure everyone really enjoyed that.
That's sweet Foley work.
So with this change, like people who've been like trying to figure out what's good, we have a Star City Games tournament this weekend as well.
Hey, yo, Modern. What's good?
What's good? So we have Dallas that's happening over the weekend, and MCQs and stuff like that. And there have been some kind of front runner decks that might be good. Specifically ones that weren't like hit by the ban. Mainly like Tron. Tron seems like it's good. If people just want to commit to playing like mid range decks, then it's just like, okay, well, I just gonna play this Tron deck and hopefully just go clear over the top of you. There's just a lot of good cards that have come out recently that are just good against Tron. That change your matchup. So we already mentioned like Assassin's Trophy and Jund, Field of Ruin and things like that. So It's not like a slam dunk or anything by any stretch of the means, but
No, and I think the Force Negation is also a card that gains a fair amount going into a more open format.
yeah,
If you're expecting things like Tron, but no, I think Tron is definitely a solid choice. A deck list that essentially is years and years old at this point, won the last pro Mythic Championship,
mhm.
and you could take that deck list and probably still do okay.
Yeah.
In whatever the meta is.
Change your sideboard slots here and there, and you'll probably be all right.
It's definitely key to look at the decks that don't lose anything from this and are already doing somewhat well. The key is though is also make sure that the reason they were doing well isn't just because Hogak was a deck that they were feasting on. So like you could always go play Burn. Are we good? You're like, I want to make sure we're good. You go play Burn.
Mhm.
It was a deck that people were turning to though because of Hogak, so maybe it's not great against the format at large. But if you're expecting Tron, for example, maybe you go with red things. There are a couple of different red decks you could look at because if you expect the format to go more Tron based and mid range, like Jund, or and things like this, Blood Moon is not a terrible thing to go to. You're not playing Blood Moon when you had to play a bunch of Graveyard Hate, but now maybe you are playing Blood Moon again.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. It could also be possible to try and find the right graveyard deck to see if people skimp out entirely on your graveyard hate. It could be Dredge, whatever new version that is, but maybe some other graveyard based decks. Urzatron, for example, or Urza Sword.
Yeah.
Which could probably play Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah.
So is that just better than like Goblin Engineer then, right? Just to play Stoneforge Mystic.
So that's the debate. Goblin Engineer does have the sort of the ability to be more versatile. That'd be a thing.
Gets like bridges and things like
yeah.
that. But the ability to put the Sword of the Beak in your hand and not have to have your something survive, if that makes sense. So I guess technically Sword of the Beak's in the graveyard. You don't have to do too much work with it.
Yeah.
So it does get exposed to things like Surgicals, which may or may not be seeing a bunch of play this weekend. I don't really know.
I would expect to see more Surgicals than I would like ley lines.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like pinpoint graveyard removal is just good, and like obviously more like relics of Progenitus. Just because like Tron's. I mean, I would still play a few main deck and everything like that. So, yeah, you're still gonna see a lot of stuff like that, but just not as much turn 0. I need something to interact with the graveyard.
For sure. Human still stands to be pretty important and pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And maybe some I think with graveyard based combos, maybe some of the green based like counters combo decks can come out of the woodworks again.
It's true.
Just because they don't have to worry about all the incidental ways that their combos are shut off. I think it's interesting that Modern maybe it won't be just this weekend. We may not see super exciting things this weekend, but I think it's going to be crazy what the format looks like with just a bunch of top decks gone. I mean, you look at the top 10 decks it played in Modern, and you're pretty much guaranteeing. Obviously, you won't see Hogak. You're not going to see Blue Red Phoenix. You're not going to see Mono Red Phoenix, right? Like if you're just cutting 3 to 5 decks out of that top 10. Like, what does the format look like?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting to see like what we're gonna have in the future, and hopefully it's not like just dominated by Stoneforge. But I don't think Stoneforge is necessarily that kind of card to like. It's not a Hogak-esque card, right?
No, it certainly is.
It's not going to be something that just sort of like takes over the format. It can go into different. The benefit it has is it can go into a lot of different things, and maybe that's a double-edged sword, I guess. Same reason why, like,
I get it, double-edged sword.
Yeah, same reason like Twin was sort of a double-edged sword, where it went into a lot of different things. You had a lot of things, but they were centered around.
I
Twin.
mean, yes, but I mean, it's even easier to splash than Twin was. Twin, you were still great, whether it was Grixis or if it was Teamer. You still had to play enough red sources to cast a double red enchantment. Your white splash can be super light here. I do think it maybe changes the type of removal you see in the format. Like if you really think that Stoneforge Mystic is going to be the card, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to counteract it, like you want to go back to bolts and pushes. Path is awkward because if they resolve theirs and then you path their Stoneforge Mystic, well then they can just cast their Batterskull.
Yeah.
So I think and obviously you're still going to want to play Path. It's a good card, but it does make you think about Path is also not as important if Hogak is the card you're trying to get rid of. So, maybe you're trying to find a way to exploit people playing more bolts and pushes. I don't know. Again, there's a lot of ways the format could pull.
100%. But we'll play the format this weekend, and then we will report back and see what we can find out. So,
do you want to talk about what you're playing? Because I know you mentioned this, but you're going to play.
I want to play Tron.
Yeah,
I'm going to play Tron. It was either going to be Tron or Burn. I think they're the two decks that I just have a lot of experience with. But I mean, Tron's sort of the level 1 deck, but it's just, I don't know, it's just a deck that you can just keep winning.
I mean, level one decks don't normally go over the top like Tron does.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good choice. I think it's a very good choice.
Yeah.
I was gonna play Goblin Sly because 8 whack is fun for me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure where to go. Like I said, I've played so much Phoenix recently. I played Blue White Control, but I don't really like where that deck is sitting. Blue White Control is a deck that really needs to look at an established format. I played a list that was ready for Hogak.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you'd be more likely to try to switch into like a Stoneblade-esque deck.
Yes, and that's what I'm actually doing. It was posted on Twitter as a 5-0 Bant Stoneblade deck that looked just, oh my gosh, just too sweet. And I've fallen into this trap before where like I look at like a mid-range deck and just go, oh my gosh, like this is everything. And I could be wrong, but I just want to play it. A friend of ours has been trying desperately to talk me out of it. No, I'm gonna go light $40 on fire. I haven't got to play a Magic tournament in months. I'm gonna. They let me take Stoneforge Mystic on date. I'm gonna take her on date. That's what I'm gonna do.
100%.
You know what I mean? At least I'll have a story out of it. So, but the deck is super sweet. It gets to play multiple copies of Ice Fang Codal.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a really cool addition when you're talking about, because like Squadron Hawk is what you were playing before in like Callblade, but like being able to play Flash, always drawing a card. But just a Flash 1/1 flyer when you are, you say your Stoneforge dies, whatever. As long as you get your equipment into play, specifically a sword, at the end of every turn, then your opponent has to be prepared for you to possibly have a flash threat to equip the sword to.
Yeah,
and I think like that is a line of play I really like. The deck also plays a couple Restoration Angels with cards like the Codal to draw a card, Stoneforge Mystic, which is really sweet because you can activate your Stoneforge Mystic and then with the activation on the stack, flicker it with Restoration Angel. Which is just a really cool line. We're like, oh yeah, I'll activate this, hold priority, flicker it. Oh, I have this in my hand now, and put it to play. You can flicker. There's one Eternal Witness just for like the value, but things like Spell Queller as well, which is really cool. And you're also playing some numbers of Teferi,
yes,
so you can lock people's spells that way. So
very important.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. I haven't played Tron in a little bit, so I like playing that deck. I like playing. I like praying at the altar of the 7, as it were,
by the tower, the power plant, and the mine.
Yep. But I think it's going to be everything for us this week. We will definitely catch you next time. If you're listening to us, you can reach out to us via many different ways. We have a Twitter. It's your NStep. When you add us, it's at your NStep. We also have a Gmail account at yourNstep@gmail.com, and then Facebook, facebook.com/at your NStep. If you're listening to us via a app that allows you to leave us a rating or review, we would appreciate you doing so. And if you're listening to us via Legit MTG, thank you so much for picking up the show. Check out some of the other articles on there. Or if you're listening to us via MTG Cast, thank you so much for listening. Always be sure to check out our sponsor, Comic Town. You can check them out at worldofcomictown.com, and again, that's where you can find the rest of the information for the MCQ this weekend. And last but not least, thank you so much for contributing to our Patreon, to all of our patrons out there. Again, patreon.com/@yourNStep if you're interested in becoming a patron. But thank you so much for listening this week, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great one. Bye.